Welcome to the Scaling SaaS podcast, sponsored by Zeno Digital Consulting Group, where we talk with founders and operators about building durable, scalable businesses. My guest today is Cameron Nelson from Arcade Software. Cameron helped build Arcade's customer success organization and works right at the intersection of product, sales, and customer outcomes. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brad. Excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was reviewing the website this morning, and you guys have such a cool product. But let's start with kind of give me a little bit of background. So you weren't necessarily a founder in Arcade, but you joined pretty early, I think, if remember did some of my research correctly, and you helped build the customer success organization. So, like, how did that play out? What exactly were you brought in to do, and why?
Absolutely, yeah. So when I joined Arcade back in April, pretty much all that was happening on the CS side was the AEs would obviously close a deal, do their best to kind of get everything kicked off, and then kind of just be there as support as best as possible. But you know how it goes; they get really busy. They're not always able to like commit fully to like product enhancement and things like that and feature development. So really, what the goal is was to come in and build some processes to just help teach people the product. My background before was really heavily in onboarding and enablement. I spent some time at Superhuman pre-acquisition before Grammarly purchased them and became Superhuman, and kind of cut my teeth there. Help kind of build out the customer onboarding process, which was very comprehensive. It was one-to-one. I did about 4,000 customer onboardings in that role, just myself, one-to-one. So tons of experience, got to meet a ton of cool people, and just kind of bring some of that over to Arcade. And the biggest thing for me right now, like I said, is just really getting people activated on the product, engaged with it. And for me, the first time I tried it, it made such a huge lift in terms of like my demo creation flow and things like that, that I basically applied right away. It was a really exciting opportunity, and just been a great ride so far. Been really excited to work with some just amazing customers and build some really cool content.
That's awesome. So you're essentially creating an organization from scratch. So what was the hardest part behind, obviously you came from that space, so you had a lot of experience why they probably hired you. But how was there a huge difference between Superhuman and Arcade, or were you able to just kind of use some standard processes and work right in? But how did that work? Going from nothing to where you are now.
I'm lucky in the sense that they're both pretty incredible products that had a very strong PLG motion before I got involved at any point. So I think that has to be said, that the team has built something really, really incredible here that frankly is fun to use. It's easy and it does what it says it's going to do on the box. That makes my life pretty easy. As far as like the tough part, I think with CS in general, coming into a new role, it's just picking up the process with a whole bunch of different customers. I came into a book of business of about 100 individual customers, some with many business units within those, and just trying to kind of pick up the pieces with where we are, who's being successful with the product, who hasn't been. And then for those folks who might not have been successful, how do we get them over the line? How do we get them re-engaged with the tool when it's something that might have fallen off their radar? And I think that's always the biggest challenge, is just kind of getting everything going with the folks who have already used the product before you got involved. So the big problems that we solved are like just getting it installed, getting people to actually create their first demo with Arcade. Because once it's done, everyone pretty much loves it that I get to show it to. So I am again very lucky in the sense of we build something pretty cool. So it's been a fun challenge, and thankfully one that's been enjoyable to overcome, I would say.
That's cool. Yeah, it's great when you have a great product that seems to just hit all the buttons, right? Where the customers, they love it, they use it, it's easy. So you get your product guys. So where do you sit? Like how do you interact? So you've got CS, obviously you're going to interact with your product guys, you're going to have to interact with your sales guys. How does that work? That kind of triangle of roles. How do you find that?
It's funny because at first it was just me and one AE, so it was very tribal, right? You don't have to necessarily have a ton of stuff on paper because me and my guy Eric, we knew our flow, right? Back and forth, it was always really, really easy. But as we start to grow the team, bring in more AEs, bring in more CSMs, really what it is a matter of clean handoff processes, making sure that everything is warm basically the entire time, from the time that person gets involved. Once the kind of consensus has been reached as far as like, yeah, we're going to buy, I basically get involved right from then, and I try to own the entire post-sale experience. So, from my time at Superhuman, I feel very strongly about doing like live product onboardings. So I love doing lunch and learn sessions with folks just to educate them, teach them the basics, get them up to speed. That's a big part of what I spend my day doing. Of course, like the standard sales side of the job, right? I think that that's pretty straightforward. Renewals, making sure that everybody is getting the most value out of the tool, doing quarterly business reviews, and really just getting all those kind of processes on paper, getting the scheduling built out, all of that kind of stuff there. Another huge piece of my day, though, is really product enhancement. I work really closely with engineering, product, and design to find the things that our biggest customers need the most, even if they're boring, right? I think that that's the hard thing with being a CSM is you have to really push for some of the unsexy stuff to build. So that's been one of the most rewarding parts of the job is just seeing some product enhancements get shipped. It can just be little stuff, but just being able to see that impact on the product is always really exciting. So I think that that's really where the crux of my role comes in is kind of the people management side. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about AI, but in that kind of uh, what is it, layout, workspace mindset nowadays with all that, it's really just about like the people, managing relationships, making sure that people feel good when they interact with your product. And a lot of times, like really just making sure that there's a face with the name, right? It's easy to not engage with a nameless product that you just signed up for, or someone can engage with me on their side. And then, sometimes you just get the people to use the product for you. So I think that that's been one of the big things that we've gotten to focus on a little more as CSMs in the past decade is just get to dig in and learn your customer, learn their needs, and be able to build for the right people, build in the right direction.
Yeah, it's funny because like you brought up AI and we'll get there, but it definitely feels like more and more people are trying to remove the people out of the equation, right? Let's how much can the robot do? So I can do other things, but maybe those things that the people need to be doing is talking to other people, like
Mhm,
instead of so I can see it where there could be like a nervousness about it. Oh, we're gonna automate all this stuff. But if we think about it in a way that we automate the right stuff, which allows people to do the things that we're good at, which is talk to other people, then it can really be a force multiplier.
mhm. Yeah, it's, I don't know if I've ever gotten off a chatbot and been like, "That was a great experience. I loved that."
Right. Right. Most of them were like, okay, it was a little sketchy here and there. Most of the time I get what I need or I get a question answered, but again, it's not a person. Like it's and in some things that could be good, but in others, it can be bad. And back to I just want to touch on your point about the boring product features. It, it, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to prioritize those ones that are just the simplest little thing. Nobody wants to do it, but it can have the biggest impact on these customers. And you're like, you're going to the engineer again. You're like, trust me, guys, trust me. Like, just like,
Mhm,
let's just
mhm,
way this field does whatever. And I'm telling you, you'll make so many people happy.
mhm. No, it's true. I mean, one of the littlest things that we recently shipped is just like some better text formatting options. Is it earth
Right.
shattering? No. Does it make a huge difference for day to day usability? Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
those are the
sure.
fun little unlocks that you get to find in joining early on, you know?
So you mentioned the customers love your tool. Do you see a lot of it? Do you guys have an issue with churn or, dissatisfaction or, how do you handle when, things aren't going well or are they going well?
They're going very well. Honestly, frankly, churn is not a massive issue over on our side. The product is really well loved. It's really well integrated into a lot of our customers' workflows where they have Arcade shared so publicly that it just doesn't make sense to do anything else. They get great engagement. I've had somebody report like a 17x click through rate using Arcades instead of like a PDF or a video or something more static. Really, that interactive experience is, I think, more and more what people are looking for, both from like a customer slash CS perspective and from the actual product itself. So we're very lucky in the sense that churn isn't a massive issue for the most part. And if it is, it's often an education issue or an application, not I guess application of Arcade issue. Not necessarily the tool isn't doing what they want. Just need to kind of get guided to the right path of how to get there. So the biggest problem to solve has really just been education and activation.
Yeah, and if you get them and you get it early, right, and you get that almost, it sounds like, a very white glove level of onboarding that you guys provide, that might be a lot of work up front, but that's putting you in a really good position down the road because you've essentially kind of walked them through everything. It's not just like you said, use this PDF and go get it. Like you're answering questions. It sounds like you guys catch all that right up front, and that probably pays dividends down the road.
Absolutely. And I mean, as a CSM, you have to be a value add. If you just show up to renew a contract, no one's going to ever want to talk to you. But if you can be strategic, you learn how your customer that you're talking to then and other customers that you speak with throughout the day are implementing this tool and actually being able to drive that true engagement with the customers. And hey, here's how you can actually get more successful using this tool. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Do you see any like kind of patterns across your customers and either how they're using the tool or challenges that you've had to overcome kind of across the customer base?
Yeah, I think what's beautiful is the way that Arcade builds is we don't necessarily it's a design tool to make beautiful content. It's a great storytelling tool, but you don't have to be a marketer or a designer to do it. And I think that that's really the big key. So what's incredible is how content is built, right? How Arcade gets used often is quite similar. It's just the type of content and the application. So it's like sometimes we see folks at top of funnel, they want something quick hit, sexy, show me all of the cool stuff right up front and get me excited. We see them implemented in knowledge bases. Hey, tell me everything about this specific feature, whatever that might be, embedding stuff on the page. We see full, massive, comprehensive demos. We see arcades run at conferences. So the application after the content is created is very unique and very fun to see. We've seen arcades displayed in a lot of different avenues and events. So yeah, it's I think that the way that people build, funnily enough, is similar. Regardless of the org, whatever you need to do, we want people to be able to experience your product and you to be able to kind of control that narrative. So it's people get there. They follow the same path for most of the creation process. And there's a big diversion after that that can be, and that's where the strategy comes in. That's really about like where can I add value of how do we implement these into your workflow, into your website to actually get value from this instead of just here's how to build the thing and see you later.
So every single new sign up of a customer gets that level of care in the beginning.
I really try to make sure that everyone, big, small, really gets that hands-on experience. It's one of those things that if you don't know how to use the tool, you can't necessarily see where it falls into your workflow. Pretty
Yeah.
much every session I do, people say, "This is incredible. I know exactly how I'm going to use this, and I want to introduce you to a few more people who I also think could get value out of this." It
Yeah.
solves a problem that I felt very acutely creating knowledge bases and things like that at Superhuman. Screenshots, highlighting, writing out text. Arcade really does all of that for you, which is really incredible.
That's so cool. So speaking of that, like how does AI actually show up in arcade, today? How have you guys implemented it within the product itself?
Mind if I show you?
Go for it.
Love it. Cool. Let me share my screen here and I'll give you a little peek. So the first thing I will show you is this is just a little dashboard. I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say that I want to record a demo of like how to add a product to this dashboard, right? Maybe it's for a knowledge base. Maybe somebody asked me a question. I click right here. This is our first application of AI. So we have this Avery tool. This is built in-house and it's basically, oh wait, I realized, can you actually see my Chrome extension expand here in this window?
Yeah, the Chrome extension's not showing up.
Thankfully, that's okay. We have a little toggle. That's it. That's the only setting you have to worry about. And that AI is going to basically make this magic happen. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to get a recording countdown like you're used to with every other recording tool. And I'm just going to click through a process. I'm going to add a title here. I'm going to add a description, and we'll add a little value here. Why not? And then I stop the process, and AI basically takes over. What happens here is it's tracking all my clicks. Everywhere I clicked in this demo, it basically picked up what is that click doing, and you're going to see that it's going to give me just a nice, quick little explanation of exactly what that does here. You can see does a really good job, follows exactly what I'm doing. All of this text is generated automatically. If someone asked me this question and I needed to give them an answer, I send this over and I'm done. So that part is basically the first piece that really got me excited about Arcade is just the ability to go in and create this content and a V1 that's good enough where I can get basically all I need from this. And then I can go in and make this absolutely perfect. What I can also do is I can take this and I can generate with AI and I can make like a beautiful, like marketing ready type sizzle reel. So something like this with text that's generated, audio, AI narration, some really, really cool, additional kind of bonus features here that will pop up, and just some cool ways that you're able to kind of implement interactive demos in your workflow. So something like this here. And this is all done generatively. That's all done via AI. I don't feed Arcade any information. I literally click through the process. I get all that text. I get that breakdown of what I'm doing, and I get this like incredible video output. I can embed these. I can share them as links. I can export them as videos. It's one of the coolest tools I've used to be able to just like really tell a product story. I think that building a narrative is one of the most important things that you have to do nowadays to stand out, because a lot of the tools that you use are, hey, you click a button and it does this thing automatically for you, right? Hard to tell that story sometimes. So actually being able to see that and see the magic happen makes a huge difference in terms of the engagement with the product.
The primary use case is just really demos, is that, or, you know, showcasing how a specific product works?
Brad, I made an arcade the other day of how to teach my mom to turn on her and connect her Netflix with her remote. I uploaded a picture and I used this to walk her through. Here's the button to click. Here's the thing you have to do. I was able to build that in a couple moments. So it's like you can answer a question for your mom. I've seen these run at very large conferences on very large screens before. You can run them like a real sales demo, share them as a piece of marketing content. Honestly, I this is pretty broad, but anytime you need to show anybody something on a computer, I always just say like Arcade is the way to do it because there's almost no legwork you have to do.
So it's like a screen recording, but like on steroids, because
Oh
you're
yeah.
able to have AI kind of understand what you're doing, and then that second piece of kind of creating that marketing, it adds, the nice intro and things like that. So it just kind of does it for you. That is super cool.
It's pretty incredible. Like I said, once I tried it out, I pretty much had to get myself in the mix, and yeah, it's amazing. And again, very lucky to work for a tool that does what it says it's going to do on the box.
Yeah. Do you have customers that use it for like QA or projects, things like that, like communicating with developers, here's the bug,
Yep.
that sort of thing?
First off, me, like 15 times a day, tons of customers do that. It's again great for just showing what's actually happening, reproductions for linear tickets. Pretty again, if you need to show something, and that could be showing a problem, showing a process, showing a product, it's a really, really comprehensive way to do it. And the other thing that's big for me that always is on my mind is accessibility, right? Making sure that anybody can understand content. We can translate these. It is experiential in the sense you're clicking, it's visual, it's auditory. All of these elements are kind of hit with one piece of content that people are usually having to share 10, 15 different things around, all output with this one piece of content, including like SOP documentation for legal reviews and stuff like that. It's so yeah, really the application is pretty endless.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Are you guys using, kind of the big, OpenAI or Anthropic or anything as your LLMs, or are you guys kind of creating your own models?
So a lot of a lot of this is built on our own models, which is especially cool. We have a huge engineering team. Arcade has one of the biggest like GTM to engineering balances I've ever seen, where we have just tons of amazing devs just working on really cool stuff all the time. So we ship really, really fast. One of my favorite things is like I've made requests in the morning and had them shipped by the evening, which like doesn't happen, and it's pretty epic. So I really have to give a huge shout out to our EPD team. Like they're one of the best I've ever worked with.
That's impressive to be able
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, clearly you guys have figured out a way to use this new, world that we're in, this new technology to really enhance your product. How about like within the organization? Do you have like I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said he was a CTO, and he said when he hires a developer, like they get a laptop, an email account, and a ChatGPT account. Like it's just
Hmm.
part of now the onboarding process that's just what we do now. And
Hmm.
is it that integrated in an arcade, or how you guys using it within the company?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that what AI does when it's applied well is it gets rid of the monotonous stuff. So it gets rid of the clerical tasks and the data amalgamation and all of just the frankly crap that you have to do over the course of the day that just slows you down. I think that the other thing that it's great for is unblocking and just getting started. Frankly, I use the tool because I have ADHD. So I pump all of my brain dump thoughts into ChatGPT and say, just like make something coherent out of this that I can then
Yeah.
go and refine, right? It just breaks the seal, lets me get over that hump of getting started. And like I'm a master procrastinator. It basically just breaks that down for me, right? I can get in, I can start the process, get a V1 that I can build from there. So that's really what I've applied AI for the most is just a lot of that ticky tacky stuff. Then I can actually focus on again being a value add for people.
No, I'm the same way. I was talking to somebody the other day. We were talking about how kind of like the blank page syndrome is pretty much gone, right? Because
Mhm,
you can always get V1 of anything whether it's someone that's struggling to write an email, a research paper, anything really. It's like you can get something that can get you started that will help you, whether it's an outline or whatever, but you're never going to have to just literally sit there and look at that blank page and go, how do I get started? Right? Like that's
mhm.
gone. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and I mean also like figuring out like what's the most relevant for me, right? Sometimes you get those like a weekly business review and it's 50 pages long and it's like what do I need on the CS side from this? Pump it into ChatGPT, let it give you the results. So, yeah, it's been a pretty incredible tool for that, you know. Like I mentioned earlier, chatbots and stuff like that aren't my favorite. I mean, if I've not used a company or, not moved forward with an interview or something along those lines simply due to the fact that it's like, I don't want to deal with a chatbot, right up front. I don't want that to be my first experience with a product. It can leave a sour taste in your mouth. But I think that, you know, that tooling is getting better too. I think that
Yeah,
Intercom is
sure.
getting a lot stronger. Like their Fin tool is getting better and better, but it's just a matter of like get people to the right place without did I answer your question? Did I answer your question? Did I answer your question?
Right. No, it's getting better for sure. We have an AI receptionist that we sell for like home service businesses and things
Mhm,
like that. That are if you call a plumber and that guy's busy or his office manager's busy or whatever, and that goes to voicemail, you just lost that deal, right? Because
mhm.
they have their number that's sitting in their Google Maps that they just searched that they're about to call. So if you can get an AI receptionist to answer that call and book that appointment, you're no longer paying for marketing for your competitors because it's,
Yep.
if
Yep.
they
Amen.
called someone else, you just paid for that ad or the whatever that someone else picked up.
And I mean, like in service delivery, I think it's such a boon, right? Like just exactly what you said. You're not just sending business elsewhere because you can't answer a phone call. I think it makes a
Right.
massive difference in those industries. I think that you can get caught up in the little SaaS bubble here, but it's always fun to be able to look outside and just see those other applications. We work with some more like traditional legacy companies as well, and it's just really fun to see software implemented in ways that maybe you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a SaaS bubble, just a technology bubble. Like we
Yep.
we we talk to the same people, we use the same language, you know. Eh, it's funny because you mentioned like your mother, like my mom's 85, you know, I'll say something to her and she'll literally be like, I have no idea what you just said to me. Like those words, you might as well be speaking Russian, you
It's all
know?
made up and
So
the points don't matter, right? The old who's line.
that's right. That's exactly right. Where do you think it's maybe AI in the company might be like underutilized, or maybe are there gaps that you're looking at from a CS perspective, or even just looking around the organization, the sales or others? I mean, are there places where you think you might be able to use it in a way that might help, or have you guys have plans or a
I
roadmap of some sort?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us, I mean, tons of different AI investments in the product. There's always more to come. And I think that we're in a moment where if you can't get AI like truly and beautifully integrated in your product, it's going to go away. Like it's the budgets are bigger. It's where people are buying from now, and it just has to be done. So I'm lucky to work at an org where AI is heavily applied, and I think that the piece that I'm most excited about on kind of like the CS and GTM side, those handoff moments, you can miss stuff in the sales process that doesn't the knowledge transfer just doesn't happen, and it comes time to renew, and like you have a whole bunch of surprises that pop up because I didn't know about Bob, Jim, and Sue in procurement, who are actually the people I've been needing to talk to for the past month and a half. So those
Yeah.
little surprises can pop up. I think that that's been the best thing. Like Gong is one of the tools that we use a ton, and their AI briefing is getting more and more powerful every day. I absolutely love it. We also use a tool who I think just raised a big round, Granola, the AI note taker. Absolutely
Mm.
fabulous. I take terrible notes. So it's a great
Yeah.
resource for me just to be able to have that going. I'm able to stay engaged. So I think that those are really, I think that the kind of enhanced experiences with AI are the things that I'm excited to see the most. Kind of that merging of human touch with automation.
That's the key, right? I mean, that's the theme that keeps coming back you've got to have that combination of the two, right? Because if you're leaning in one over the other, it just doesn't work. You've got to find that synergy with how this new because this is I mean, it's funny. I read a tweet this morning. Somebody said after watching, the Super Bowl ads, I'm pretty sure that the American economy is being propped up by AI, weight loss drugs, and gambling. Like it was,
Yeah.
but like AI it's happening, right? It's getting
Mhm.
infused into everything, and so finding that happy medium where your people are using it appropriately, but you have that human touch. The human touch, we cannot just get out of that. That I think is a death knell of a company.
Hey, and you know what? I think for people like me, it's a good landscape to be getting into. I always joke I'm a culture hire. I love talking to people. I love engaging with people and building relationships, and it really seems like that's the future of customer success and really of just business as a whole. It's going to be expected that you can do the basic stuff behind the scenes automatically. Focus
Right.
on the meat. Focus on adding value.
It's funny that you say that because I think you're exactly right. Expectations are going to rise dramatically. Like if you call a company, I mean, and this is the expectations have shifted for a while now, but like even pre CRM, like pre Siebel coming into this and creating these systems, you would call and you're like, okay, I got to tell you the same thing over again because you have no basic notes or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, so it's just going to shift in the sense that, like, when I call and that company doesn't know every single thing about me, about every interaction that I had, it's not right in front of that person. It's not summarized in a way that they are adding value the moment that I get in. Like, those are the companies that are going to lose, right? So because customer expectations have already shifted and they are going to shift dramatically with even just these note takers and things like that. The expectation is like you've got the data. Like I talk to you, and if you didn't have an AI note taker running in the background where it can summarize action items and all that stuff, you're going to lose.
Every time. No, it's really true. And I mean, it's a great place to be in. I think that it's allowing people to foster more genuine connection, which I think was my concern when AI first came out. I remember first playing with ChatGPT, and I mean, it's like when like Google or Ask Jeeves, I'm really dating myself, first launched, and it's like I remember everybody gathering around the computer and oh my God, I can type this thing in, it gives me an answer, education is ruined, or whatever it might be, right? Back in the late 90s. And now I feel like that kind of similar thing happened. And now it's we just have to apply it responsibly. With great power comes great responsibility, right? So
It's very true. I do the one thing that scares me is, it's the standard kind of issue that you have with calculators, right? Like, so people just don't do a lot of math in their head anymore, right? Because we all have calculators, right? So it's that shift of kind of that, well, I don't have to learn this skill because now AI can do it for me, right? Like, what is that brain drain that's going to happen to society as we move, closer and closer to the, real AGI type, not just LLMs, but like actual proper AI. I have a buddy of mine that works at Microsoft. He hates when people call it AI. He's like, it's not AI, right? It's just a language model,
mhm.
but we actually do shift into away from just LLMs into actual, like, what is that going to do for when these tools can do so much for you that you don't have to learn how to do X, Y, or Z? Like, that's going to
Mhm.
be weird.
Yeah, it's a weird. It already is. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you lean on it a little too much, right? I know that it can become a crutch, but I mean, I can all. I mean, I I was at the dog park the other day, and I have a super mutt, and so this kid asked, "What kind of dog is that?" I said, "She's every dog." He took a picture of her, put her in ChatGPT, says, "This is what ChatGPT thinks she is." It's like, cool.
Great.
I love it, and it's fun to see people thinking about it in new ways. The new generation is going to come up, and they're going to start coming into the workforce and just have all of these different ways to apply this that we've just never thought of, and could be just really artfully deployed in a way that again just lets you focus on the important stuff.
Yeah. I've always said that it wasn't, like the iPhone was really cool in 2007. Oh my God, that's really amazing. This is a pretty cool, neat little communicator. But when it really changed the world was when it created the App Store, when Apple created the App
Mhm,
Store. And now you
mhm,
have millions of brains going, okay, I've got a GPS chip. I've got to communicate. Like, what can I do now? And then you all of a sudden you have Uber, right? And then you have all these like location based like it was the opening up of having other developers around the world just open their brains up and be like, how can we actually use this tool? That's
mhm,
really where it's going to be crazy is to
mhm.
is and we're seeing that now, but I think it's going to accelerate dramatically.
Yeah, and I think that it's also going to lead to a reduction of just needless conversations where it's like, hey, let's get on the phone for 30 minutes. I'll show you this thing that I could have sent you an arcade for. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's one of those beautiful things where it lets conversations be valuable. It lets you get on and actually dig into the meat of what you need to talk about, not hey, reviewing these 50 things that you've already said to somebody else.
Yeah. It made me think of two things. So first, so are you guys? I mean, is Loom like a direct competitor for you, or is your skill your product set's a little bit different enough where you're not? Because the way you said that is in my mind, I thought you were about to say a Loom, right? Because that's how
Mhm.
people use that, right? So I was just curious. Is that one of your main competitors?
Yeah, we have some similar functionality built in. Loom is really great because it's lightweight. You press record, you do the thing really quick, but you start to lack polish and things like that. That's really my big thing. I love it for quick hits. Arcade has a similar way to throw your head down in the corner and kind of talk a process through for a shameless plug there. But
Yeah.
it's a great resource. I think for quick things like personalization and stuff like that, it's really great. But if you need to go that layer deeper, I think really is you can just get more value, more valuable content from that initial output than a minute and a half video.
Yeah. Because I noticed that Atlassian was on your website as a customer of yours,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure they own Loom now, don't they?
I believe so. Yeah, it's there's a shocking amount of crossover, and in doing some research recently, the interactive demo space, it's really only a few years old. The
Yeah.
oldest competitors kind of started in like the 2020s, so it's an interesting space, and very new, and very refreshing, and just a different way of doing things. I think that before, I talk about this a lot, Loom was just the standard. It's what
Yeah.
you did. You record a video, you send it over, and it's like way more personal. Before I joined here, I was a massive Loom user, so I'll give them their fair shake there. But yeah, it's a cool product. It's definitely different avenues, right? I think that it's about speed versus polish. I think is really the big thing. But
Yeah. That makes sense. And then just to comment on one something you said earlier about kind of like AI talking to each other, I was just thinking, I wonder how many email exchanges now are basically just someone got an email that they wrote, that ChatGPT wrote, that somebody receives, and then their email, whether it's Copilot or maybe they just do it in ChatGPT, then they write a response and then send it back. Like, how many responses of emails going back and forth are basically just ChatGPT or Claude talking to each other?
it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, it's hilarious how often that happens. And like, I don't know about you, but when you can totally tell that someone didn't even edit out the double dashes, like I am giving that is the last email on my list. So proofread, edit.
Yeah. And it is kind of scary that when you see those things, or I've seen one time is they copied it and pasted it, but they left on the little bit at the bottom where he's like, "And what can I do for you next?" or whatever. It was still in the email.
Edit.
Like, oh, that's
uh,
embarrassing.
and that's what
Yeah.
we're saying. Bad application, right? It can be a great tool or it can be an absolute hindrance that it's like, why am I doing this? Why do we bother sending these back and forth? Like if it's just Claude talking back and forth to each other. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, we are about out of time. I got just one more, just kind of maybe a future looking question. So, from a CS perspective, whether it's technology, just from a more of a capabilities perspective, like, what do you think is going to matter more in the next few years? I mean, we talked about the human touch, we're talking about AI, those kind of things. Like, what do you see the next 2, 3, 4 years look like in the CS space?
you have to be strategic. You have to be able to add value on a strategic level where it's not just here's the product, here's what the product does. It's here's how to apply it. And maybe here's how to use other tools in conjunction with it to make an even better experience. I love being able to give people tips on like how to use dictation on their Mac, right? Or something like that where they
Right.
can talk in emails or something similar. I love those little value adds. So I think that you have to start having more tools, more arrows in your quiver, more tools in the tool belt, whatever you want to say, to be able to drive that value. Being clerical and being there just to process paperwork, you're going to get left behind really, really quickly because very soon AI is going to do all of that for us. That's kind of the next evolution I'm excited to see is like I'm ready to be done with contract talks. Like let's go let's dive into value, right?
Right. And you're exactly right. And I think I hope that it feels like the people that I'm talking to have that similar take is let's use it right. Let's just not throw it in there, but we still have to add value. And I think if we stay focused on that from builders, then I think we might be okay. It won't take over the world, maybe.
Yeah, big agree. And that's why just make sure you say please and thank you when you give it your prompt so that you're on its good side when it finally does.
That's exactly right. That's so funny. I saw something about that. Like, I'm like, I totally say please and thank you. Are you kidding me that this
Yeah,
is going to
me
come
too.
at some point? I've got to be nice.
I think it cost AI like $1 billion processing pleases and thank yous last year. So,
Yeah. I did notice there was a shift, and I don't know if it was from a model to another model, but it started saying, like, just say go if you want me to keep going. Right? It was almost like asking you to limit your responses
hmm
because it was like, enough with the pleases and thank yous. Just tell me yes or no.
it's good
I'm
enough. Yeah.
spending billions.
I love it.
Well, cool, man. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. I'm actually, I'm going to sign up for Arcade today. I
Heck
noticed that
yeah.
you have
I
a,
love it.
I noticed you have a free version, so I'll try that out. because I'm a total Loom user. But I do have. It's funny because I do have a couple use cases that I need to. I want to that. In fact, that AI receptionist that I was talking about earlier. I don't have a good kind of demo video. I've got some, but they're a little bit more complicated. I don't know. So I'm going to sign up, maybe play with it, see if it might be a good fit because the product looks very very cool.
It's honestly, if you know the process you're doing, click record, click through the thing, and I would imagine you'll probably have what you need without any extra input. So it's pretty great. I'm excited for you to try it. Let me know how it goes.
I will, man.
I
So
love it.
if people want to follow you or your work or Arcade, like where can they find you in Arcade?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn. Just look for Cameron Nelson at arcade.software. And yeah, if you have any more personal questions, just email me. Cameron at arcade.software. I always love hearing from folks.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, Cameron. It was really great talking to you.
Thank,
Thanks for being on the show.
thank you, Brad. It was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was a blast. I look forward to hopefully checking in again soon, my friend.
Absolutely.